Hello, 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 and happy Monday, bright and early after Super Bowl Sunday. Yay! Today is February. It's Love Your Past Clients with your CMA tool inside of BoldTrail, which I absolutely love. So we are going to get started. I am going to share my screen, move everything around so I can see you guys, and we're going to dive right in for all the class. Let me know where you're pulling in, where you're tuning in from, and all that good stuff. I wish we could stream live in the groups, but Facebook changed that when it comes to our Facebook groups. We can't do that. So it's live on YouTube, StreamYard, and all the events, all that fun stuff. So let me move this over, share my screen. There we go. So inside of our BoldTrail, I go to maxtech.boldtrail.com is how I get in. You can also go in through your remax.net and then finding your BoldTrail app to be able to get into your dashboard. So when we're in here, we want to go into marketing, or you can go directly into one of your contacts to be able to create a CMA for them. The first thing we're going to do, I am going to go straight to the marketing. You can see all your fabulous tools, but I want to go right here to present. If you've never done one, the first thing you want to do is set up which template you want to use. If you set up your template, add testimonials, your logos, all of that, it's going to help you for future CMAs to be able to just plug in an address, look at what's going on, and then you can easily email that over to somebody, track everything. I do love that, the analytics, that you get to see what's going on. So the first thing with almost every aspect inside of your BoldTrail, on the top right are going to be your settings. So if you've never gone into any of the tools, the first thing you probably want to do is go into your settings to set everything up, whether it be connecting social or anything like that. So I'm going to come right over here. We're in present. There's all these cool tools we're going to cover. This is your custom settings. So you see here on the left side, we have different presentation styles. There's traditional, modern, and luxury. You can see I like the traditional. We'll go into that. And you also have your personalization as far as you. So I can come over here to my About Me. I can copy and paste my bio from wherever it may be, and then I can save and continue. And there's also different aspects here. So if I save and continue, I can also manually add 3 different reviews, and you can sync to whether it be your testimonial page on your website, your Zillow, something like that. You are able to add in a link to be able to have somebody click that and read more. So you want to make sure you have that information set up. Then you want to come over here to customize your presentation. So I personally like the traditional. You may like one of the others. Definitely take time, look over them. There's lots of great information and tools right inside of here, and you're going to love these. So I'm going to come over here to edit, and you're going to be able to see like the themes. So the first thing, I'm customizing it for myself. I'm on admin. So this is basically the default. I can click over here. It's going to change it. It has that little blue. I like that. And then this, it's just a little different each time. So I'm going to go ahead and click the middle one. I'm going to go down to colors. Now this is where if you have your brand kit set up inside of Canva, or I know we have the Remax color, it has these little web color codes. You can, whatever your branding is, make sure add in your color code so that it matches everything going on. Your fonts, you have a variety of different fonts you can choose from. And then you have the body. So you have your header, and then you have your body. So that's going to be any of the text inside of these different pages and stuff like that. You have your logos. So you see you have 3 different logos. So you can see how they're placed here. They'll be side by side by side. So all you have to do is just upload a logo. Maybe you want your office, maybe you want the regular, depends on whatever you want. It's your presentation. You get to do whatever you want with it. So add in your branding, your office branding, any of that. And then we're going to info placement is the last option. Do you want your information on top, or do you want it to display on the bottom? So I just have it on top. It's a little different. I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Continue. That is for my information. And now we have all of these elements. And of course, just like a lot of, your newsletters, anything like that, you can drag and drop this information on how you see fit. How do you want your presentation to flow? I'll show you where you can add in your own slides as well. But here I'm going to go ahead and click on Why Am I the Right Fit? You're going to see the About Me, my testimonials. You want to toggle on what you want to be inside of your presentation. And you can edit every single one. I just say at least set it up so that way it is quick and easy as you're doing these CMAs. That way you can edit as you go if you want other things in there, but it's really nice when you set it, and that way it is easy to be able to do these on the fly and all of that. So I have my About Me, my testimonials, and now you're going to get into, I call them fluff pieces. They're kind of just industry, Remax, anything like that, just kind of different information. Choose what you like, what you don't like. A lot of these do have multiple options for the look and feel of your actual pages and stuff like that. So the value of an agent, and well, see me if I can zoom in just a little bit, you can see what this is going to say. Here we have the home selling process, realtor versus iBuyer. And then it does have buyer guides. Right now, I am setting it up for a CMA, so the buyer pages don't really apply in this, but you can do buyer presentations as well in the buyer tour, which will cover that because that's a pretty cool feature. So I don't want the buyer pages in here, but I want to show you how cool they are because they're really nice pages that they have available to us. So just different buyers, steps, and almost all of these, same with the seller pages, is there's going to be a variety. There's kind of the generic, and then you get to the collection. So if you do more luxury, you may want to use that style. It's different than the other regular pages and stuff. So you get to decide, what do you want on or off? So I'll just kind of look you through here real quick so you can see these cool little things. Just more on the buyers. We're doing more of the seller, so I'm not turning any of their off, so they're not going to be on my default presentation, but lots of really cool options that you have. And then we have commercials. So if you're doing a commercial, maybe you want to add in some stats and Remax and commercial stuff. And here is more collection. As you see, there's lots of different options you can go through as you're picking. That's a good question. I guess it would just depend. Like, I like these as a pre-listing to be able to email over for before a listing, just so it has all that fluff pieces and it allows them to look at all the comps, and then you're able to focus on more of that rapport. But absolutely, before, during, I feel during the meeting, if you send it beforehand, it allows them to kind of digest information. And that way your meeting is gaining their trust and growing that kind of relationship, getting the rapport. And then they can ask you questions based on what you sent. But it's completely up to you. So again, lots of collection. Then we have more commercial. Okay, here we get into kind of the Remaxy stuff. So there's a lot of different options here. I like this versus that. Nobody sells more. Thinking of global power. I love this. So I'm going to keep, you can see I have that turned on. Most productive. I love these 2 million sites. So I like this versus this. And you can just choose which ones do you want on, which ones do you want off. I love this kind of stuff. Again, kind of fluffy pieces that need to update this. Giving back, of course, making sure to have the CMN in there. And here's where we get into that seller's guide. So this is a CMA for sellers. So I want to make sure I have the seller information, fluff pieces in there. And you can see I love these. They're so beautiful. So lots of great information inside of here. Again, this is where I like it to be kind of beforehand, give them information. Here's where you can get into more of the collection look. Lots of cool stuff. So it's just going to have a different vibe to it, more of that luxury feel, the luxury logo, stuff like that. That's the one section. So now I have what's my home worth. This to me is the most important. I would probably drag and drop it up if I were to minimize this, because there's a lot of pieces up here. Let me just, so what's my home worth? I want that to be up front. So when they get the address, here's going to be the full CMA overview. Most of these pages are interactive. So depending on the visual appeal for whoever's opening this, they may be able to click on different options. What's active, what's pending, what's closed, what's close to them. They can look at all the properties. We'll get into that. I love these. And then you can see where they spend the most time. So I love that it's like a little heat map for their mouse. So you know what properties they're looking at. It gives you talking points for follow-up, reaching out to them. I love all of this. So here's like the CMA overview. We have the big picture. So whether they like the map, or this is pretty cool, it's going to be able to show you kind of the price point for active, pending, and closed, showing you on that grid for that analytical engineer type brain. It's absolutely great. Here we just have like pricing misconceptions, another kind of fluffy piece. And then what my home is. So you can see I don't have that on. And then we just did that white, but I just moved it. Now we're going to the market analysis. Here's the market overview. I absolutely love these. It's going to tell them, you know, the price per square foot on average, fresh versus stale, selling price versus listing price. Lots and lots and lots of great tools, and they can click into each box to get more data on that. So again, I'm going to move this up. So I have the most important stuff. I have market analysis. And then, so this is just more kind of information, all that good stuff. And then we have our market and buyer. Again, more interactive. So it's going to have like the buyer demand. Let's click on this. And they're interactive. Where am I? There we go. Property interest. I love this. This is basically showing on an office level how many people are in our system on the office all the way down to you that are actively looking for prices in that home or that area. So it's just breaking it down to it's showing me basically I have 12 that are matching the criteria, location, price, bedroom, bath, all of that. So it's really great to have this funnel. And as we grow our system, this number will only get higher and higher. And it's always kind of like alive. So this is also on the market reports. I use the squeeze pages. I love those. It also shows this, or the seller squeeze pages, I should say. They're great. And then of course, marketing plan. It's going to go over your social, property boost, anything like that. If you use it, make sure you're putting this inside of there. Social, all of this fun stuff. And then it has the next steps. So the next steps you'll do as you're doing your presentation. I want this to be, well, I guess it's going to be on. It will allow you to, if you have a pre-done listing presentation that you can share a link to, maybe you use Calendly for scheduling appointments. You can use a link to be able to do that next step. You can upload your net sheet. You can do a lot of different things in that last segment. And that's going to be something you do every time you do a CMA. But then they can also, you know, say, I want more time, or I thought it'd be worth more. I'm interviewing other agents. It's going to give them those options, which you'll see what they choose. So it's pretty great. Yes. I'm going to show you that in a moment. So now that I have everything I want, let me see. I wanted the market analysis. Yes, I want to move this. Let me jog this. All right. So perfect. Let me minimize all these different options. So You can, again, you saw me drag and drop. What order do you want your slides to be in? I want the good stuff first. And then, of course, you have all the fluff pieces and all of that kind of stuff. So once I'm done, I'm going to save and continue. Now, of course, you can go into the modern to customize that. You can go into the luxury, look, feel, play with it, see which one it fits your branding and what designs you like the most. Those are great. So now I'm going to come back over to present. And next to the custom settings is your presentation library. Now, this is where you can add your own slides. You can create it right inside of here, or you can upload your own content. When you upload your own, it's going to basically give you, if you have your own presentation, it'll give you an option for the, both layouts, whether it be web, which is going to be that horizontal, or vertical, which is your PDF. So that's basically your printing versus sharing it online. I always would say share the online link, because that's where you can actually get that heat map for what's interesting for them. And maybe you print out the PDF for your actual presentation. But that way they've seen it before if you send it prior to. Or what I love, and we just did in our expedition, is I know I get from Zillow and Redfin my kind of market analysis on my home all the time, my Zestimate, whatever it is. I love those. So I don't know why we're not sending this to the people we've closed homes. And then what you could do is you could do a saved search for CMA 2025. And then you do a reverse saved filter for all of your closed clients that do not have the closed 2025. And that gives you a checklist of everybody you need to send these to once a year at minimum. I don't know why we don't do it. But so you can add in your own slides, all that. It's going to show you the different layout. You can build it right inside of here. Or to me, it's just easier to kind of upload my own designs. All right, so once we're done with that, you can save, add to library. I'm just going to close this out, and we are going to go back to just present, because that was already a lot on this. I think it's just that one slide, and they haven't had any updates, so I just probably wouldn't use that. They used to do those every year for each state, but that was what we saw there. 2023 was the latest one, but they did just add all the buyer and seller, all of those other guides, graphics, and fluff pieces that they have. Those are all new since the new buyer, since all the changes and they redid all of our guides and stuff. That's when they went ahead and updated what used to be in the system for us to choose from. That's all fresh and new, except for that one slide. So I don't know why they didn't just remove that if it's going to be that dated. But I used to love those, but we haven't had them in I guess a year now or something. Definitely play with the presentation, your buyer tour. That's when you can add in all those buyer slides. I do want to go over the buyer tour before we go into the full CMA. The buyer tour, I just happened to do a class here in Knoxville a couple weeks ago, and the agent stumbled upon this, and she said it was phenomenal because it actually ended up being a time saver for her, because she went in here and you're going to be adding in the MLSs. Say you're going to show 7 houses or whatnot. I went ahead and got some MLS numbers. 6803 enter. There we go. I'm going to add in some more. And it's going to put them on a map for me, which is fantastic. 36603. And I have one more. And then it does say prepared for. So you do need to make sure, or you have to click there to create one. But I'm going to go ahead and put my name in here. Heather H. Holiday. Why aren't you showing this for me? There we are. So you'll choose one. Hopefully they're already in your system, but this way it's a buyer tour. I'm going to be showing myself all these properties. I see them on here. So it basically has me going from south to north and then these in the middle. So what you can do is I can rearrange these. So this one is probably going to be last. I'll work my way from the bottom. Let me see the two. You can see as I'm dragging them on the side here, it's repositioning. So basically I'm starting down here, working my way up, or I can delete it if that's, maybe another day, whatever the case may be. So I have these lined up. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and save and continue because I have everything there. Then we have here like the CMA overview. You can see the 4 different properties. I have the web or I have a PDF. So the PDF is going to obviously be more of, the portrait for printing, but it is nice because it'll have the map and it'll have the information on the different properties. And the web is something you would send prior to. So I'm going to go ahead and present and share. So I can email it, or I can copy it, and I can download and print it. So I'm going to go ahead and just click copy so you can actually see what it'll be like if you email it or email the link. So here is more of the web version. It's going to have, here are the 4 properties. Here's the average, blah, 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 information. This is all the different properties and information. They can look through all the different houses. So it gives them all this data, all this information, which is great. Has all the full description, all of that. And again, every time you see this little finger, not sure if you can see that, the little finger means it's interactive and I can see what they're doing with their mouse. And I'll just click next. So here is where they can be like, oh, I looked at everything, or I don't like the price. Like that's way out of my budget. I'm not interested at all. And maybe this one, I'm considering it. That's great. And they can download it. So this is where you could actually go, before you're scheduling all your appointments, you've sent this to them. Maybe now you can say, hey, I noticed that one property you said you weren't interested. Do you want us to take that off our tour, what we're going to be seeing? And they'll be like, yeah, we decided we don't want to go that high, or blah, blah, blah. That's one less property you have to set up a showing for. So now you can start with the others. So that's where it actually ended up saving time for the agent who accidentally found this and thought it was very cool and sent it. So just different ways that you can do that. So I could download it and it'll download for me. I'm going to go back because I want to download and print, although it's still thinking. There we go. Let's see what this looks like. Go to settings, never mind. So again, this is one that you could print for the actual showing. So you can see it's more of the portrait, not the web. Goes over this. But look how cool this is. I don't know if you can see this. Let me try to zoom this in a little bit. So it has all the information about the property. It has the photos, like a few of the photos, and it has a note section. So that's super nice to be able to print this out while you're showing properties so they can write notes for each of the properties and, what they liked, what they didn't like. It already has all this information for them. I think this is fabulous because when we print out that full MLS sheet, there's not a whole lot of notes, and then you're on the back of that paper or you're not writing notes at all. But this is really great, and it's all branded to you. It has all your information, all that good stuff. So hopefully you guys have checked out the buyer tour. I would definitely print this out as you're going to go show, and now they have all this information. And of course they could circle that, I guess. But just to show the difference, whether you email it to them and you can print it off to be able to have them have, information and photos. Sometimes, you see so many houses, you don't remember one from the next. So having this information where it has the description and some photos as a reminder and a spot for them to be able to write notes, we absolutely love that. So that is the buyer tour. So I'm going to come back over here and I want to show you when I come over to contacts. And I'm just going to go to my dashboard. So one of the things we always say is like spend 20 minutes a day. And part of that is every morning you should be having your coffee and look at activity, right? You can see what properties people are looking at. But as you start sending these CMAs, it's going to be nice when you can see like, yes, I created, here I viewed. I can view the analytics. So we're going to do another one, but I thought this was cool. And I don't think I have to open this up. I don't think I can do it in here. It's going to take, okay, it did. Sometimes I have to open it incognito because it's me, I'm sending it to me, and it's my platform. But this is kind of the analytics. So I can see time on page, how many times they viewed a page. I like the little fire thing. And let me try to make this a little bigger so you can see. This is basically the cover, all this information. When I get down to here, you can really see what I'm looking at. And I don't know, hopefully you can see this. So the red hot are probably properties I've physically looked at the listings for that property and spent time on it. So this, based on what the person is doing inside of this CMA, BoldTrail even gives you ideas on the follow-up. So did you see the questions on the report? By the way, did you happen to notice the home at blah, 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 blah? This is where you don't tell them I have a heat map and I see exactly what you're doing. Don't do that. But it is very big brother. It's going to allow us information for the follow-up. So you can say, hey, what did you think of the CMA? Did you notice your neighbor listed their house? Did you see it? Now, they spent 15 minutes on that, but you don't tell them that. It's just a great follow-up to open up that line of conversation about the CMA you just sent over. So it will actually, based on their behaviors, it's going to have a suggested follow-up based on what they're doing inside of here. So this is that other one versus the map where it gives all this information. So lots of cool things. It tells me the time on page. This one definitely had more page visits, page interaction. So lots of cool things. I absolutely love the heat map to know. And it even tells me, oh, they liked my map, So it's going to even tell you what's resonating and maybe what you could be screenshotting, saving, posting to your social or adding as a blog or something like that, because you can see like, oh, they didn't really care about this, but they definitely cared about this. They thought there was power in the global presence, right? So this is going to tell you what resonates with people, what maybe you could be posting and all of that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and go in, and we're just going to start with winning the listing. So I am going to try to use an address that I haven't used in a while. So it gives you addresses. As you start typing, it's going to start filling in. So automatically populated, the city, the state. It's also going to start popping in absolutely, Anna, you have that awesome map. You should be uploading that to, I don't think you can use it as a link because that's more of the follow-up, like a listing presentation, setting up appointment. But for sure, do a screenshot of that and add it in there as part of your presentation when you're uploading your own slides and information. I think we all should have kind of our own information, maybe even our own testimonials that allows more than 3, and that typeset is like super tiny. So, and it's hard to see where you can click to see more. But I feel we all need to make ourselves, what's our value, and showing that value point. Maybe, we do videos, maybe we do professional photos. Like, what do you do that's different from everybody else? And make sure to have those slides and import those to make it part of your full presentation. I think the Remax pieces are phenomenal, but I would always recommend adding in our own resources or anything like that as well. Same with the buyers, adding in like a relocation piece or something that has all the utilities, information, steps, kind of localized, your home inspectors, different vendors, stuff like that for the buying and selling process, all of that. So I think that's great. So here it's going to, based on the tax records, going to show information. Now I know this is different. There's more like 5 rooms, and I'm pretty sure that is way different. But so here I can just go to comparable details. You can add in your own information. It's going to show you a map, so you can click on properties and see different things. But if I wanted to really dive in and, change the criteria, I could do that. I could add in my own if I wanted to. Here's like the year built, close date, the lot size, all of that. Or I could add in my own MLS. If I've done my own in my own MLS, I can use the actual comps that I want to use that I've already done research on. I just let the system kind of do its thing. There's where you would do the manual to be able to do it. And let me just go next, build CMA. Let's see what the next screen is. And here's just kind of information. I could edit the search criteria. If you have like, well, my Aunt Sally said she retired from real estate 15 years ago, but she said I should get this. So this is where you can add in Aunt Sally, who knows everything. You can add in hers to be able to be added in the price range, which will be on that graph, which, maybe you'll see it way low or way high, but then you can see what Aunt Sally says versus what the market is actually saying. So it's kind of fun to be able to add in that. Here, I'm going to go ahead and create the presentation so we can look it over. Then this is just, I can edit, I could add photo, if I already know the photo, I could, whatever the case may be. So this is basically my presentation settings are basically from when we just set up our settings. I use the traditional, and here, so we have the web, the PDF version. I'm going to go next. I'm not going to add a photo. I could add in their names, all of that information. So I'm just going to go next. This is just kind of showing. And I don't know why on this, that's why I did this one, because we saw properties on there, but every time I use this property now, I get no results and nothing is showing up. So that's what, let me just present and share, and I'll go back to my other address. I have no idea why. But on this, once you get here, this is where, if you're not going in through the client inside of your contacts to do the present, I'll show you how to do that. This is where you're going to like save and attach it to somebody, just like we did with the buyer tour. So I can start typing in my name and add it. This is where I could add a listing agreement link or Calendly or whatever the case may be. If you have a link where I could add my, net sheet, maybe do a custom video for them. Here's where I could just open it. I can email it. I can download and print, or I have copy. So I could email the presentation. And for those of you like me who just don't even know what to say, I went to ChatGPT and told it to write me something. So let me come over here and present. Here's this. And I don't use that. It's not, it'll automatically do that. There we go. I can preview it. So it's just basically going to give information. And now I can go ahead and, I think I just emailed it. Did I not? I don't know if I hit send. So I'm going to do this just so we can see what that looks like. And let me send. I think I just hit preview. Yeah, I didn't get that. I was like, that's kind of weird. But again, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And I think I have to open incognito. Otherwise, it's just going to open it back up in my account. And this address was the first time I had seen where it didn't give me any houses. So I have to figure out why that is. It's just because then you can't see all the coolness. All right. So I'm going to come back over here and let me get out, present home. let's see how, I'll show you how easy it is to be able to 402. And I wish that wouldn't pop up because then I can't see. See horse. There we go. Next. 4. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and skip to presentation because, again, I'm not going to build and put all this different information. I want to skip to the presentation so you can see how easy it is. I wonder if that's what happened to me, Kitty, because all of a sudden I was like, wait, where'd it go? I have to go. I didn't hit send. Okay, so that's what just happened to me when I hit preview. I was like, wait, where's the send button? Where'd it go? All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and present and share. But you see, this literally took 30 seconds. Now I have it. Again, save and add to client. I'll just add it to, let me see, I think I have me in here a few times. If you do not have yourself in your own system as a lead, go to your website, find a way to, look at the properties, have that forced registration, download a guide if you're using landing pages, use an email not associated in any way with your Remax email. So that way you can create yourself a lead, see the smart campaigns and actions, behavioral alerts. So that way you can see both sides, what the consumer sees, and on your end, what you're seeing that the consumer's doing. Always create yourself as a new lead if at all possible. All right, so now I'm just going to copy this and let's see if this will work or if it takes me back into mine. Okay, this worked. So now you can see what it's supposed to look like. I have no idea. Maybe that's not the correct address. It's like trying to find addresses in this area. So you can see here, we have all these different graphics that, tell me it's closed, what's active. They're kind of color coded. So it's pretty cool. I can see this is where the house is. And I have this zoomed in so much I can't no, give me the bar to make it go down. So I can see here, this is the house icon. These are all the properties around it. I can see the greens, those are active. We have under contract and closed. So whether you're a map person or you're a data person, you're going to be able to see people, how long they spend looking at this information. I come over to the next screen. Now I can have, and this is where Aunt Sally Sue's information would be. So she's like, no, you should get this amount. It may be way over here. And you're like, sorry, Aunt Sally, it's been 15 years, but the data doesn't show that. And look where this is pretty interesting because you can see the actives in green are way over here on the right side. Oh, it doesn't let me zoom in. Okay. Are way on the right side. Our closed are over here. Now I can scroll down here on that timeline. Again, I see the average, what the average price is for actives in my little area, the average for pending. So maybe by the time they got pending, they had to be reduced in price. And now the true is going to closed. So you have active, you have pending, and then closed. And that's telling you that average. And it pretty much shows up here as well. So you can go to trends, you can change information. There's lots of fun stuff that anybody can do while they're on here and kind of stuff like that to narrow down a lot of this. You have the graph, depending on how they look at it. And then you have the price per square footage as well. So just good insights, information. And again, I love these numbers here. So my average, it's saying the average right here, list to sell. So you can kind of see that list. And the price range, fresh, stale. So this is kind of telling me, these are new listings. These are, getting older and how long. So you can actually see the price and how long has it been on the market. This has been on there for a while versus being brand new. So everything's kind of color coded for them to look at. I kind of love all that data. The selling. So this is just showing the information on a different grid. Again, this doesn't do anything for me. I'm more of the map, and that grid I absolutely love. But you have those engineer brains and they will Love this. Again, here's also the price per square footage based on price and active, all that kind of stuff. So this is also good data for why to price it the way you're going to price it. And then the current shelf life of the listings and the price for that. So all good data and information. And you saw it took us 30 seconds and it just goes through everything on there. If I had put it in, and you can remember, I kind of had all this information on here, my little fluff pieces for them to be able to look at. And then they get to, and I think I have buyers. So this is where data, and this is also on the seller squeeze page for like your specific area. I love these, and they can kind of see the price, and it just basically tells you supply and demand, and it's kind of color coded based on where the house is. Like, okay, well, you're in good shape here. More people are buying here than over here. And then come over here, and then you have information that's pure data based on people active in our systems from the office level all the way down to your level. And it's basically saying, bringing it all the way down to 12, but we, have access to all these people kind of looking in your area. And it even gives buyer examples from our actual system. And you can see the emails kind of grayed out, but it gives a buyer ID. So it looks very legit. These are actual people inside of the system on that office level doing searches. I don't have anybody on my system actively looking because I don't do leads, and then it has the marketing plan and the property boost, social, all of that good stuff. And here's where it's let's get started. Had I put in a link, it would do that. Let me see what'll happen. So basically it says, I want to do that. I didn't have a link. So it's just going to give me, I'll see in that notification, I'm ready to get started. Or if I need more time, this is the option that it's going to give me. Like I was hoping to be more. Oh, it's such a competitive market. I need time. Time will tell. Meeting with other agents, and allows them to do stuff as well as download that presentation. They submit their answer, and then you'll be able to see that inside of your database when you're looking at what they viewed, analysis, all that kind of fun stuff. Because when I view that, and I think I just did it for somebody, another me in there. I have a lot of me's in here for training purposes, but it'll tell you what I chose. But I think this is on the old one, but really cool. So let me see here. I got some questions. Let me see which buyer press. That was the buyer tour. So that is going to be this buyer tour. It's going to be different than, when you're meeting a buyer to, pre-doing anything just to do that meeting. That would be more of the buyer presentation. The buyer tour is where you put in those MLSs and it shows the map and it gives all the property details. That's for when you're out showing property. This one here, I got to zoom in a little bit. So saying this one here is win the offer. So I haven't even played with this one, I guess feedback and all that kind of stuff in here. And then they have a general presentation, which you could do, which isn't really focused on buyer seller. It's just kind of generic information. For the most part, I think the CMA is incredible to use. When the presentation, this probably isn't a bad thing to start using with all the changes and, meeting with them and everything else, showing your value and what you do. And of course, the buyer tour, I absolutely love. As you do them, they will be stored in here. If it's old and they're like, okay, it's been 3 months, can you resend that? You can update it, which will give it all new. It kind of opens it up, refreshes all the comps and everything else because it's all fed live through the IDX feed. And then, of course, you have your web and PDF. And this is where you can get your analytics. Sometimes I find it easier to get it straight from, you saw on my main screen. So you can see where I was on there the most, but it didn't show anything. And I have to figure out why on this property. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So usually you can see your analytics there. You can re-email that. You can delete it from the system, all of that. But all of them will be stored here So you can just refresh the information. But again, I like to go and see everything from here, view those analytics and all of that. One thing I will say is I think we should be sending them every 6 months, at minimum once a year. But I can come over here to my contacts. And again, you do a save search. So I can come over here and you can see I have no CMA. So as I do prepare these CMAs, I'm going to add the hashtag to that person. So let me clear all this out. And let me click on my leads, my contacts. So when I do a search for Heather, I said mine. Okay, there we are. All right, so let me do a search for Heather H. So you can come over here. You can see, maybe, let me zoom that in a little bit. Oh, now I can, okay, there we go. You can see all of the hashtags. So you can see here I have the CMA 2025, CMA 2024. So this tells me I've already done it for them. Add it to them as you're doing all of these. What I would recommend is knowing who to send them to. I can come over here. Let me clear these filters, my contacts. I can come down this little row here. I'm going to say all of my closed. And I don't have anybody, so I'm going to just add sphere. Pretend I didn't do that because I don't have any closed, obviously. The hashtag is not, and I'm going to do CMA 2025. So I can come right here. So all of my closed peeps who I have not prepared a CMA for are all right here. And I can show all filters so you can see all the cool searches you can do. But let me go ahead and just view results. So pretend this is all closed. So you have all of your closed who do not have CMA 2025 done for them. I want to save this search, and I already did the no. I'm just going to do CMA. Let's see, no CMA 2025. I already have one of those, so I'm just going to add one. If you pin this, like you can do all the searches you want, pin it so it shows up right here, super easy to click and see exactly who you want. Now you're going to go ahead and save that new filter. It's going to give you a backwards checklist of things to do. So now you can come over here, click on your people that you need to do this for. And I zoomed out so much. There we go. All right. So now I could click on somebody, and I'm just going to go up here again to one of mine. Social. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and click on me. For YouTube, this is a trainer. It's not real people. It's me. YouTube takes away all the videos that when we're doing our CMA, because they say it's bullying, but it's not. So this is where I can come in. Once I can come over here, and let's try to zoom in a little bit more again. You have all your call to actions, all the action steps, but you also have, the active campaigns somebody may be on, any market reports you've done. And you can see I've done present a lot. So I can come over here, add, and create it. Or when we're doing our present, you can add who that client is, and it's automatically going to show up in here. So I want to, as I've done it, okay, now I can make sure I'm going to go ahead and add hashtag CMA 2025. We're going to add that in here, make sure that when you hit enter, it actually shows up and you get that little green. Now I've already done it for the year. They're no longer going to be on that saved search. It's only the people I have not done it for. So it's that backwards checklist. And I do this for all the things that need to be added to the contacts, whether you're adding birthdays, maybe no market reports, maybe no engagement, no phone number, whatever the case may be. I loved the saved searches and filters because it allows me to see exactly what I need to see to do what I need to do. So I always say like 20 minutes a day, you're going to look at that main dashboard, and then maybe Mondays you're going to be putting in birthdays. You go to Facebook. Maybe Tuesdays you're going to spend the rest of that time filling in the blanks for home valuation address, because that's going to be an important step to be able to send these CMAs, is you need to have their address, and the system is going to make things a lot easier for you. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do. These saved filters, I think, can be a complete game changer as you're trying to work your database, because you can do all these searches, and then instead of just seeing everybody, you're able to see exactly what you want to see. Maybe you only want to see your 5 stars or 4 stars or people that are actively on your website. So make sure to use these save filters, because then you can easily just go right there. Okay, these people don't have a hashtag. I need to make sure something's in there. Look at the people or changing the status. No valuation address. Obviously, that's part of doing your CMA, is going through everybody that's in there, maybe that you've closed properties on, and you're filling in the blank to add their valuation address. One thing I will say, believe might be marketing. Yes, it's in marketing. In your marketing, part of your automations, and one of those is that automatic home valuation. If you're putting in under your contacts that home valuation, I would come down here in your marketing to market report and listing valuation settings to see what is happening. You can see here, I do not have the listing valuation, that automatic thing that goes out. I don't like that. I want to do a CMA and send it. If you're going to add in, and this is on, and you put in their property address under that listing valuation part of your contact, they'll automatically get kind of like the Zestimate feel. They'll get that versus you going through that CMA, sending an actual email to them. So I personally do not have that turned on. So before you go and adding addresses, I just want to make sure to point that out. If I come over to a property, I'll show you the difference. You can add in a property address or home valuation address, and we'll be able to, they just made changes for our, let me go to social. Let me pull myself up here. Maybe. Where am I? Oh, clear. I didn't fit into that little search I have. So when I come in here and I want to edit the profile, see, this is different now. Remember, it used to be the full screen and it was like, oh my gosh, all these options. And now you can actually go into exactly where you want to do or where you want it to go. So there's 2 different options. You can add primary address or valuation address. So I did property management for 15 years. So I always had valuation address as the local property, and the primary address was wherever the owner lived. If you put something in the valuation address, you could run valuation if you wanted to. You could use the primary address if you want to do that as well. Just make sure you have that listing automation valuation that's going to be sent out to them automatically turned off if you don't want it to go out to anybody. To me, I'd much rather have like my own personal email that goes out to somebody I know before they get that. Whatever they get on my website, that's fine. But I want to be more intentful of what I'm sending. So I like the CMAs. I like sending my own email with my own kind of personalized email. And hopefully you can make it an annual thing at least, or biannual, just so that people know what's going on with the market. But this is where that part comes in, whether you want to do primary address or valuation. It's completely up to you. Just know if you put in an address under the valuation and you have in your marketing that automatic valuation address, as soon as you put one in there, it's going to shoot them over one of those valuations, not like a CMA. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. All right, let's see here. Yes. That's actually kind of how I used to get property management. or sales. I had like kind of like a postcard and would just look at all of the rentals that were coming to renew within the next 3 months. And basically a postcard would go to the owner as well as the tenant. So maybe the tenant's looking to buy, maybe the owner's looking for property management on a rental. So I used to do that all the time. That was a big thing, but that's a great idea. All right, I think that's it. Oh, and we did the whole hour. I try to make these like 30, 45 minutes, but I knew this would be a great one. I want to hear what you guys do. We did the BoldTrail boot camp and it was great. We actually had some people doing these CMAs and getting feedback from them. So I want you guys to go do a few CMAs. I want to hear your feedback. Post them in the Tech and Tools group. I would love to hear it. And hopefully you guys learned a little something and go play. And I can't wait to see you guys. Next month is March Madness. It is all about website customization. So we're going to go over our settings, the header, and widgets, blogs, all that fun stuff, whatever you guys want to cover when it comes to your website customization. Can't wait to see you guys. See you guys next month. Bye, everyone.